No DQ Galaxy. We are live with a recap of AEW Collision for Saturday night, September 16th, 2023. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks since I've recapped Collision. I've been busy. I was in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee last weekend for a wedding, and then we had the Payback premium live event, which was on a Saturday. But I'm here tonight to discuss Collision. Now, there's been a change since the last time I was on here to recap Collision. CM Punk is gone from AEW. CM Punk was the face of Collision when it first started. The big question now, is Collision worth your time to watch? Let's break it down. That's what I'm here for, to discuss this show, give you my thoughts on it, and my recommendation going forward when it comes to Collision. We kicked off with the Saturday night's main event style pre-show promos, which I'm always a fan of. I do like these. And then we had our first match of the evening, the new Mr. Collision, Bryan Danielson, teaming up with Claudio against Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Now, I'm not sure if Claudio is a face or a heel at this point. Bryan has been acting like a face since his return, but Claudio has a match against Eddie Kingston at Grand Slam next week, and Eddie Kingston has been the babyface in this storyline. I'm a bit confused with that, but I guess they're whatever they need to be for the situation. Sometimes Moxley's a face, sometimes he's a heel, maybe they're tweeners. It's just hard to know when to cheer for them and when to boo. But in this case, we know that Ricky Starks is a full-fledged heel, as is Big Willie, a.k.a. Big Bill. Starks immediately tagged out, did not want to get in there, and it was up to Big Bill to wear these guys down. Claudio tried to lift up Bill, could not do it. Bill double clotheslined Claudio and Bryan. And then, of course, Starks comes in after Big Bill does the damage. Now, eventually, we got the hot tag. Claudio once again tried to take down Bill, and he finally did it after several clotheslines. He got Big Bill down, did the big swing to Ricky Starks, applied the sharpshooter, but Bill broke it up. Bryan came back in. Starks hit the spear to Bryan, but then Claudio broke up the pin. Claudio and Bill fought on the outside of the ring. Starks hit a low blow after shoving the referee, and then he hit the Rochambeau and scored the 1-2-3 victory over Bryan Danielson. And they were going to continue attacking him after the match, but then Claudio came in with a chair. Pretty big win here for Ricky Starks, and later on in the show, Ricky Starks cut a promo, and they set up a Texas death match for next week's Collision, although I believe Collision's in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they're going to have a Texas street fight. Unless I missed something, I think they're doing a Texas street fight next Saturday. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on that. Match was solid, and it's a good win for Ricky Starks. We had the Young Bucks and Adam Page challenging the Mogul Embassy for Grand Slam Rampage, and that's going to be a Ring of Honor 6-man tag team title match. I mean, I do not care about the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team titles. So I guess good for the Young Bucks and Adam Page. Maybe they're going to win those titles, but there's too many titles. It's ridiculous. We already have trios titles for the AEW brand. Now we got the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles. We got ROH tag team titles, Pure title, the world title, the TV title. And I'm already having trouble caring about the AEW titles as it is. So it's just like, why is this still a thing with the ROH titles? I know they have to have that brand, but you already have 2 hours of Dynamite. You got the 1 hour of Rampage, and you got the 2 hours of Collision. I think a lot of people are already going to be tapped out on wrestling at that point, in addition to people that are watching WWE, and then you expect people to watch Ring of Honor on top of that. We had a video package from the Book of Hobbs, the next chapter, and he said, nobody's safe. Well, dude, you kind of lost to Miro, so it's hard to take you seriously now. But speaking of Miro, there was also a video package with Miro, and I think he used a line from the Iron Sheik talking about how he broke the back of Miro, or Miro broke the back of Hobbs, but he did not make Hobbs humble. Sounds like an Iron Sheik line. And basically teased the idea that they are going to fight again. And then he brought up how he's mad at God for tempting him with his hot, flexible wife, Lana, or whatever her name is at this point. I'm still not even sure they've given her a name officially. Not even CJ Perry. I just think she's called the hot, flexible wife. We had FTR versus the Iron Savages, the guys that eat ass. I guess that's their gimmick. I'm not even sure what the hell they're supposed to be doing. They're just savages, so they eat ass and they do crazy things. Did not care about this match. You know, it's just a showcase for FTR, and the Savages had some offense. Wasn't a total squash, but FTR did pick up the win. They hit the Shatter Machine to one of the guys, and then they did the Power and Glory Superplex and Big Splash combo to pick up the win. And then the Workhorsemen, another random-ass tag team, came out there and shook hands with FTR. I guess they're going to have a match now. Another team I do not care about, but there you go. FTR is going to be going through these ROH tag teams in no time before they get a credible tag team to go up against them. And then we had what unfortunately was maybe the most memorable thing on this show, Collision Take 22. We literally saw a guy say Collision Take 22, and he smacked his hands together, and we had our take after like 5 seconds of awkward silence. It was Keith Lee standing there looking like that was the last place on earth he wanted to be. And then we had Shane Taylor show up. He's got Lee Moriarty, and I guess Keith Lee is calling out anybody who wants to fight him, and they're going to fight him. Now, the question is, the thing that I want to know is, was this just the 20-second backstage take for a promo, or was it 22 takes of Keith Lee with Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty? I think that's the big question now that's on everybody's minds. Anyways, I mean, we've seen production glitches in WWE. We've seen them in AEW. We've seen them many times in WCW. It reminded me of like a WCW glitch around 2000 as the company was starting to go out of business and starting to lose a serious amount of money. Hopefully that's not a bad omen here for AEW. Miguel says, how's my Saturday night going? Going good. Here with you guys talking about Collision, and it's business as usual. So hope you're doing well, Miguel. And Michael sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that, Michael. Says, here's a thought. Can Zach Gowen be eliminated in a Royal Rumble? Well, good point, because both feet have to touch the floor and he's only got 1 foot. But I think that and this of course is just whatever, but I would think that the fake foot touching would count unless he doesn't have it, in which case, 1 foot hits the floor, that's it. He's out in his case, which is unfair to him, but I think that would be the ruling. Again, it's wrestling and he's not coming back to WWE, so we really don't even need to analyze it and discuss the technicalities of it. But thank you for the super chat. Definitely one of those questions that we must ponder from time to time. We had Anthony Bowens versus Long John Silver, a match I really had little to no interest in. Acclaimed, they were out there. They did a pre-match rap. Silver said that he Googled scissoring and they're doing it wrong. Ha, ha, ha. And then he said that the contract read that Billy Gunn and Max Caster were banned from ringside. We had our match. It was competitive with these guys, and Silver got in a lot of offense, but could not put away Bowens. And then that led to Evil Uno showing up, attacking Bowens while Silver distracted the referee, and Silver got the 1-2-3 victory. So it looks like a heel turn for the Dark Order. I do not care. I'm over the Dark Order. Like, they had a thing going with Brody Lee. He unfortunately passed away, and there was some sympathy for those guys. But at this point, like, them as heels, do not care. And they'll be facing the Acclaimed, I guess, for the 6-man tag team titles. Don't really have any emotional investment in it. We had an Eddie Kingston promo, and he hyped up his match against Claudio next Wednesday. He said, win or lose, this is it. He said that despite everything, New York has always had his back. It's his home. And Claudio is out of his effing mind if he thinks he's beating Eddie Kingston in New York at Arthur Ashe Stadium. So there you go. And there's another title, the New Japan Strong title that's going to be on the line. So we already got AEW titles, we got Ring of Honor titles, and now we got New Japan titles being defended on AEW shows. Like, I like the singles match. They've been building this up for a while now, but I don't care about the title aspect of it. Like, it's the Ring of Honor world title against the New Japan Strong title. Like, I just want to see these guys fight. Like, I don't care about the titles. There's too many of them, and that's that. We had Hook and Orange Cassidy backstage eating snacks, and Orange Cassidy's basically like, we should team together, and Hook was like, yeah, let's do it. So they're going to be teaming up next week, and they were eating snacks as they were talking about this. So Orange Cassidy had this big run, and he looked strong in defeat against Jon Moxley, but now he's doing comedy with Hook. So there you have it. They're eating snacks backstage. We had Aussie Open, another team I do not care about. What's going on with AEW's tag teams? I feel like there's all these teams that are just, from Ring of Honor or brought in from Japan. And like, I just don't care about any of them. And these guys also lost to Adam Cole and MJF. So they win a squash match, and then they call out FTR, and they're calling their shot at Wrestle Dream. I'm sure it'll be a good match. And I always say that, but man, I have little to no interest in this. And if it wasn't my job, I don't think I would be very tempted to pay $50 to see this. With all due respect to FTR, they're great wrestlers, one of the best tag teams in the world, but like, are they really going to be beating FTR? I mean, come on now. We had Tony Storm being interviewed in some hotel room, and she basically said that she has not changed. She's always been the same person, and she was complaining about the lamp in the room. You know, she's doing this gimmick now where she's high society. Not sure what the hell is going on with her, and she says tits a lot. Like they're trying to do something with her, I guess, and change things up. So I suppose that's a positive. We had a Scorpio Sky video package. And man, there's a guy that's really, I mean, he's been injured, but he's a guy that's really fallen off the past few years. Like when AEW launched, he was considered to be a fairly big deal, and now he's just another guy on the roster, and doesn't have any momentum going for him, unfortunately. He had a match with Andrade. And Andrade, I guess, is a babyface now. Andrade wanted a handshake. Scorpio Sky had no interest in that. And it was a pretty good match here with these guys, back and forth. At one point, Andrade was going up to the top, and Scorpio pushed Andrade off, and Andrade took a pretty nasty back bump on the ring apron. I know these guys are trained professionals, but man, that looks like it hurts legit. And after the break, Scorpio did a big dive to the outside, got Andrade back in the ring, but Andrade regained the upper hand and picked up the win with the figure 8. Still using Charlotte's move, and they even acknowledged him using the move that's part of the family. I guess that should kill the speculation. I've seen people on social media wondering if Andrade and Charlotte were on the outs because maybe they unfollowed each other on social media. But I mean, if they were really breaking up, I don't think Andrade would be using her move still. So match was pretty solid. And then you had Bullet Club Gold showing up. And Jay White cut a promo on Andrade and said Andrade wants the Switchblade Spotlight. A challenge was issued, and officials had to come down and hold Andrade back from getting a piece of the Bullet Club Gold members. And as far as Fight Forever goes, I have not played it since I did that Stadium Stampede live stream. Just haven't had any interest in doing it. It was fun to play once, the Stadium Stampede mode. I said my piece on it. I think it needs to be an offline mode, but there's a lot they could add to it, and maybe they will. But yeah, it definitely felt like a game that needed more time, and they already invested a lot of time as it was. So I don't know if they're going to have any more downloadable content, or if they're just going to try to focus on a follow-up and make a better game. I guess time will tell on that one. Haven't heard anything about Rush. I'm not sure what's up with him, but I mean, quite frankly, I really do not have that much interest. We had a video package of Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi showing their history in Japan over the years to set up the Ibushi versus Takeshita match. And then Shibata, he's got a title too. I'm not even sure which title he has at this point. He had like an English translator on his phone, and he had the translation audio say that he's coming to Wrestle Dream. So there you go. If you're a Shibata fan, you're going to want to put down your $50 for this. We had the Hardys versus the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch. Now, these guys were rumored to have been considered for Bray Wyatt's Wyatt 6 group when that was a rumor last year. And I could see why. Like, these guys definitely have the Bray Wyatt vibe. I see that in them. This was interesting to me because I thought this was just going to be a Hardy's squash. They were going to pick up the win here. But to my surprise, they did not win. And in fact, Jeff Hardy was the one that took the fall. He got pinned by Vincent. Vincent used the body of Dutch as momentum and hit Jeff with a cutter and picked up the win. So I was surprised by this. And then they cut a promo and they said they want a match against MJF and Cole. Their theme music, I mean, it could be better, but it definitely could be worse. I've definitely heard worse theme songs in AEW. I think of all these teams that were on this show, I think these guys have the most upside. So we'll see. Maybe AEW can make something out of these guys. But, presentation is important, and the theme music and the overall look. I mean, there might be something with these guys. There might be. We had a Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr. video package. And we had that Starks deathmatch challenge that I mentioned earlier. And they did spoof the Take 22 botch from earlier. They had a guy with one of those, I'm not even sure what they're called when you do the takes. But yeah, it was pretty clear to me that was just, we know what happened earlier. We're going to just laugh it off. And, that was probably the right approach to it. I thought that was amusing. And we had our main event of the evening, which was the TBS title match. They got the main event spot because this show was in State College, Pennsylvania. They said Britt Baker went to school there, her home state. She had a title opportunity against Chris Statlander, the TBS champion. Jim Ross was on commentary, and it was a pretty good match with the ladies. They got the main event spot, and that's definitely a positive. It was back and forth. Britt took a page out of Bret Hart's book, slamming Statlander's legs into the ring post, and that would affect Statlander later in the match. She attempted to go for a running knee, but she missed and hit the corner. Was not able to powerbomb Britt. Britt hit not one, but two curb stomps. Statlander kicked out of both times. And then Britt got the lockjaw on, but then Chris countered it into a pin, got the 1-2-3 victory to retain her title. And after the match, Chris offered the hand out to Britt, and Britt accepted. Chris helped her up. And we had Julia Hart watching, which, I mean, don't see her winning the title, but yeah, I guess she'll be the next challenger in line. So solid main event. The cliffhanger, Julia Hart, don't really care that much. Attitude Era Mark sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, I feel like TV 14 content hits different in WWE. TV 14 content hits different when the story calls for it and when it's not overdone. When guys are constantly getting busted open or there's excessive profanity or whatever, I feel like anything that's done too excessively can be a negative. Like, you definitely want to pick the right times to push the envelope. And I think when the story calls for it, that those are the best times. That's when they hit differently. So now the final verdict on AEW Collision. I thought the show was okay, but too much happening on it that for me personally, I had no interest in. Like, there's nothing on the show other than the production screw up. There was nothing on this show I'm going to remember a week from now. Chris Statlander and Britt Baker was a good match, but I won't remember it a week from now. And there's just too many acts on this show that I feel have no momentum, not much in the way of storyline development. It was guys going out there having a bunch of matches, a bunch of little backstage promos with people interrupting each other. And it was okay. I would give it a C+. It was all right. I mean, if you watch it, you're a huge fan of wrestling. I don't think you'll be disappointed by any means, but if you miss it, I certainly don't think that it's going to have any kind of impact on your life whatsoever. I'm not sure what to say about Collision at this point. There's just so much programming, and between Raw, SmackDown, and Dynamite, like I feel that I'm good for the week. I don't need Rampage. I don't need Collision. And with Collision having the competition, they're going to struggle. And you got the WWE Premium Live events. It's going to be a tough road for Collision. Like, this certainly wasn't a show that's going to make me think, okay, Collision has some momentum. And they only drew about 3,000 people in a 15,000 seat building. It's tough. Attitude Era Mark sent in a $2 super chat, says, long time, ran since the WWF WCW website days. Q&A, please. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate your long-term viewership. And I'm thinking I might tap out on the Collision recaps. And I was thinking of maybe doing some more Q&As on Saturday nights. And maybe if there's like a really big Collision, I can do a Collision recap. But I definitely don't have any plans to keep doing this on a regular basis. Like, if there's a really significant show, I might go live. Otherwise, I might start doing some Q&As on Saturday night. But to everybody out there, I do appreciate the viewership and support. But I feel like Collision, it's already lost any kind of significance as far as I'm concerned. There was a comment in here about CM Punk, and like he was a big factor, I think. And with him gone, there's not a whole lot going for this show, in my opinion. There just isn't. CM Punk was the draw, at least for me, why I decided to give it a shot for a while. But yeah, now like I'll just stick to Dynamite and hope that they actually show some recaps of stuff on Collision so it doesn't get too confusing. Anyways, thank you all again for tuning in. Much love and appreciation to all of you. And if you did enjoy the video, give it a like. Tell a friend. Spread the word. Johnny Boy sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Johnny Boy. I appreciate it. Says, what is your reaction to CM Punk saying he has a couple of months of free time? Survivor Series return? That was very interesting. He could just be trolling. It's CM Punk. You never know what his game plan is. And we really don't know when he's legally able to show up in WWE. If he can legally show up at Survivor Series, I think it's going to be Survivor Series. If he doesn't show up at Survivor Series, then I suppose he could show up at the Rumble as a surprise. But if he's not at the Rumble, if he doesn't show up by the Rumble, and that would be well after 90 days. Like, I don't know if there can be more than 90 days. Maybe they could have him not be able to compete for a year because he was fired, terminated. But yeah, if it's like a standard 90 days where he cannot wrestle anywhere, like he would be good to go for the Rumble. So we'll see. Survivor Series seems like the ideal place, though. Maybe the Rumble, and I think after that, the chances are going to significantly decline, because I think you want to bring in Punk when he's as fresh off of the AEW run as possible. Like a year from now, like I think people won't really care that much. Like you gotta do it soon. If Punk's coming in, you gotta do it as soon as possible. So yeah, we'll see. I would say if I was to make a prediction, I'd say it's a possibility, but I'll believe it when I see it. Like I'm still not convinced that CM Punk wants to go back. Maybe he does, but I'm still not convinced. And B, does WWE even want him back? Like that's the thing. They just did the merger with TKO. They're doing tremendous business. They're on fire right now. They have The Rock on SmackDown. They got John Cena. I mean, CM Punk would be great. I would be very entertained. But realistically, do they need him? And the answer is probably not. I'm sure they would make some money, CM Punk merchandise and other revenue streams, but they're going to be fine without him. So time will tell. Like I know Vince McMahon always had the attitude that fences could be mended, and if there's business to be done, it's going to be done. We'll see. Or they might just figure, you know what? He's not worth the aggravation. Like he might make a little bit of money, so what? Not worth getting potentially burned again. And you know that could be a concern too. Like, is this guy actually going to show up to work? He walked out last time. Hard to say. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for tonight. Thank you again. We'll be back with the No DQ review, and maybe next Saturday night I'll be on here in some capacity. We'll see about that. No promises. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. And remember, say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.